Hello again, Frank. Yeah, good to see you and good to chat with you again. It's been a quick 3 or 4 months. I think it was back in March that we last spoke. Time has flown. We've seen the COVID virus episode kick in and so on, and obviously affect tennis worldwide. But it hasn't really changed my philosophy, my ideas for 30-30 tennis. I've managed to keep contacting people. People are still coming back telling me, yeah, this is a great idea. As soon as we get out of lockdown and the restrictions are released a bit, we will try it and so on. So no, it hasn't drawn a halt to me. There are obviously big changes in the world of tennis just now with the tours being closed, shut down for another few weeks anyway. So we have seen across the world a number of events being held sort of locally within their own country. We had a battle of the Brits in the UK just a couple of weeks ago, which Jamie Murray had organised. There was 8 players involved. They played a couple of round robins and then a semi-final and a final. Andy Murray was actually involved. He made his competitive comeback. They played the matches not on a shorter format. They were the first 2 sets were tie-break sets. The third set was reduced to the match tie-break of 10 points. We're beginning to see that a bit more often now. Rather than playing the full 3 sets, they are using a third set match tie-break to 10 points. So it was very successful. We've seen a number of events that have used the fast 4 format, where sets are to 4 games with no ads. Again, to reduce the length of matches. The players aren't training or haven't been training as hard. Right. So shorter matches probably make sense. We've seen the events where the single tiebreak to 10 points has been used as well. And just latterly, for the last month, we've seen Patrick Mouratoglou's new creation called Ultimate Tennis Showdown, played over a total of 5 weekends. He has 10 men invited. They play their matches in a large round-robin group, and followed by semi-finals and finals. These matches are actually due to be finished this weekend. And the format there is significantly different from traditional tennis. Have you been following it? What they've done is it's really become timed tennis. They play 4 quarters, each of 10 minutes. And during each quarter, it's sort of a tie-break-like scoring system. They count 1, 2, 3, and so on. So after the 10 minutes of play, the player who has won the most points, for example, 12, 11, it can happen to be, they win that quarter. And out of the 4 quarters, whoever wins the most wins the match. If it goes to 2 quarters, if both players win 2 quarters each, it goes to a sudden death, which has been pretty dramatic. It can be actually be over in just 2 points. The first player to win 2 points in a row in the 5th quarter wins the match, basically. That's occurred in quite a number of matches. So, yeah, it's again, shorter formats are being trialled, are being used and so on, which gives me more encouragement. 30-30 tennis is obviously an alternative to all these ones that I've spoken about. And I'm still convinced that it's better because it does retain the traditions of tennis far better. Sets are still played to 6 games, the deuce and the ad points are still played, and there's a tie break at 6 games all. Match results look identical. So yeah, it keeps me going, knowing that shorter formats are certainly being trialled, being used, and so on. So yeah, that's where I am, Frank, yeah.
Okay, well, from what we spoke about before, the idea of where we are now, and unfortunately with the pandemic, but also with, on the professional tours, people not being in the shape they should be in or could be in, and the fact that we want to get in as much action, and I don't know that we have the patience right now, or we should have the patience for a 2-week tournament. We want to see as many players as we can, like as you said, in a round robin format. We can see them all play in a day. That's great. So shortening the format, I think, is a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I think tiebreak 10s has potentially shown that. They have an event that is played out in one evening of entertainment. It starts at 7:30, it's over by 10:30. 8 people are involved, whether it's 8 men or 8 women, and they play, a knockout tournament. There is a winner on the night. It's only possible to do that if you have shorter formats. And tiebreak 10s seems to work. I feel the matches are still too short. A tiebreak to 10 points is over in around about 10 minutes. It's a bit of a shootout. I still think the 30-30 format, if it was to be a shootout event, you would play one set, which I'm estimating to take around about 20 minutes. It gives the players just a wee bit longer to get involved and get into the match. The tiebreak to 10 points is over very, very quickly. So, there is a need, there is a requirement for events that can be played out over one evening. People can sit down at the television. You've disappeared, Frank. I'm not sure. There you go.
Just went away for a second. Yep, I'm back.
Good man. Yeah. So a one evening's entertainment, or just the one other thing that I've come up with since I last spoke to you is I don't know if you're aware of world team tennis. It's quite popular.
Oh yes.
A couple of months. One of the young lads, well, he's not so young anymore, he's 25, a guy called Johnny O'Mara. He's playing for the San Diego Aviators, and he's from my club in Arbroath. I've known him since he was about 3 or 4 years old. The racket used to be a bit taller than him for many years, but he plays there, and I've been following the World Team Tennis, and the format of that is very good. They play a match which is just 5 sets. You start the 5 matches that are played, or the 5 sets that are played, are a women's singles, a men's singles, a men's doubles, a women's doubles, and a mixed doubles. And each one of these matches is just one set, and it's played out in over 2.5 hours. And it's an excellent format. So what I have created based on my 30-30 tennis is something called 30-30 Big Smash Team Tennis. In cricket, there's a T20 Big Bash League, especially down in Australia, that's very, very very popular. So I've sort of copied it. Instead of T20 Big Bash League matches, I've got T30 Big Smash team matches, and they're based very much along the same lines as World Team Tennis. You'll play the 5 sets of the varying disciplines, but what is different is that the scoring system of each match is going to be different. I'm copying the Lever Cup. On the Lever Cup, it's played over 3 days, and on day 1, the matches are all worth 1 point. On day 2, the matches are all worth 2 points, and on day 3, the matches are worth 3 points. So what I've done with the Big Smash is that the first 2 matches, which will be the men's doubles and the ladies' doubles, they will both just be worth 1 point each. You then move on to the 2 singles matches. They will both be worth 2 points each. And the final mixed doubles match is worth 3 points.
With 3 points.
That's a total of 9 points. You've got 1-1, 2-2, and 3. That adds up to 9. Now, with that scoring system, the overall match result will always be in doubt until at least the end of the 4th match. It can't be over. If the same team wins the first 3 matches, the 2 doubles and the singles, that only adds to 4 points. So there's still 5 more points to play for, basically. So it makes it quite interesting. There's a fairly high chance that it will go to the 5th match, the 5th and deciding mixed doubles match to decide the match. And I think it could be a really good format. I think team formats, whether it's at club level, amateur level, professional level, they've proven to be pretty popular with the Lever Cup, the Davis Cup, the Federation Cup, and so on. They also had the Hopman Cup that was held in Australia, that was a mixed event as well. And it gives the fans the opportunities to see men and women competing together. It gives them the opportunity to see a team event, and it gives them an opportunity to see singles and doubles and mixed doubles all played, and it's all done within a 2.5 hour time frame. So I quite like the idea of this Big Smash Tennis League. I have one of my I've been appointing ambassadors, And yeah, he's quite keen to try and get a school league going in his area that will use this format. So yeah, 5 individual matches. Each match is just one 30-30 set. The doubles and the singles will be played over a tie-break set. So you play a tie-break at 6-all. But the mixed doubles match will actually be played as an advantage set. So you have to win that by 2 clear games. So the final match, the mixed doubles, would be an advantage set. It could be one, for example, 7-5 or 8-6 and so on. The previous 4 matches are just a tie-break set that are won, or first to 6 games with a tie-break at 6-all. So yeah, it's yep.
So one of the things I've found with World Team Tennis is it's a great idea, it's a great concept, but then, as you said, you get to the end of the night or the end of your time, and the match is already over, or it's not out anymore. So you're still playing, but you play competitive for half of the day or half the time, and then the rest of it's just like, well, let's just play. And then we've got catch up, and we've got speed rounds, we have things like that, but it seems kind of fabricated. Catch up means what? I still haven't figured that out. I've been playing for 20 years.
Yeah, there is something in the World Team Tennis that it's a wee bit difficult to understand. I think they've brought in something that even although the match could look potentially over by the 5th match, there's some sort of, it's complicated, but it does go to the 5th match, and the team who's behind still has a chance of becoming winners. And I think it's a bit of a failing. I find it quite hard to understand.
Right.
At the moment, you're getting a point, I think, for every game you win. So in the first set that's played, if it's 1-6-3, one team gets 6 points, the other team gets 3 points, and so on. But as you go through to the final match, there is definitely something in there. I'd have to read up it again a bit more clearly, but it's a bit complicated. The reason for it is they obviously want the last match to still be a live match. There's nothing worse than the last match being a dead rubber, like what sometimes happens in Davis Cup. If a team wins the first 3 matches in Davis Cup, the final 2 rubbers are dead, and they don't really mean much. So World Team Tennis do have something written in the rules that do that, but I decided to make mine just a bit simpler and copy what the Davis Cup does. It's a progressive, not the Davis Cup, the Laver Cup. It's a progressive scoring, because with the Laver Cup there are 4 points available on the first day, there are 8 points available on the second day, so that adds to 12 points. But on the final day, there are still 12 points available because the 4 matches are each worth 3 points. So it makes sure that the match result is never over until you're started the third day. It could be 12-0, which is unlikely, which would mean, it basically is over, but there are still 12 points available. The other problem with the Laver Cup is that you could get a 12-all draw, and they do have something written in their rules that they will play a match tiebreak or something if it does end up 12 points all. With the big smash tennis, it's not possible to have a draw because there are 9 points available. So always it's not possible to have a draw. You will not get a tied match. The closest you will get is a 5-4 result, basically, but it's not possible to draw it. So I have high hopes for that as well, Frank. It's utilising the 30-30 scoring format, but it's also just bringing in the team element and a mixed gender team as well.
Well, what we know about the world is it revolves around mathematics. And mathematics makes things, I know when we were in school, like, I hate math. Well, actually, I love math now because that's how I can figure out what's going on. So, absolutely. And using that idea right now, we're in a point where we don't have the opportunity, most of us, to get out and play, get out and enjoy, get out and visit and watch tennis. But from what you said, and this is kind of what we're doing with the show as well, we're still able to communicate about it. So tell me a little bit about the people you've been able to reach for 30-30 tennis and your ambassadors and those people that have joined. I know that it's kind of taken off, even though you say that it's a little bit slower because of the pandemic, or at least what you was hoping it would be. It's still, we're getting people involved. So just who have you reached out to and who's reached out to you?
Yeah, I'm meeting a lot of very, very interesting people. The ambassador thing really came about. I made contact with a young guy in Cuba called Carlos Lopez, and it was him. He doesn't have many facilities and so on, and they don't have much money or anything for balls, for rackets and so on. But he's a tremendous enthusiast. He's really got right into the tennis, and he loved the idea of 30-30 tennis. To play quicker matches. It allows the kids to play more people. And so on. They don't have a great number of courts and so on. So it was him that suggested, look, you should think about taking on ambassadors for 30-30 tennis. So I began to think about it, and I drew up a sort of set of things that, if I come across somebody who really likes it, has tried it, and really wants to promote it, they could be appointed an ambassador. And I now have 4 ambassadors. The fourth one is just waiting. He's been signed up. He's in India, again, a really enthusiastic guy, and is keen to move 30-30, thinks it's a great idea. And I've got 2 in the United States. Rachel Cohen, who we were speaking about, she is an ambassador as well. She liked the idea. Another guy called Jesse Gottlieb, he was my second ambassador. They're all people who I've met who thought the idea is fantastic. They really want to promote it and try it and use it for competitions and so on. So that's been really, really very exciting. Just the other day, I got in touch with an ITF player in India who thought it was a fantastic idea, and he is now willing to possibly set up some sort of competitions in India that will involve, he even suggested some ATP level players. He already organises events in India, so he's in the process of speaking to potential sponsors and so on. Because I don't have a lot of money, I can't throw money at this. I'm relying on people just to do it voluntarily. Out of their love of tennis, basically, thinking that it's an idea that could possibly go somewhere. So, yeah, he's another guy that's quite exciting. There's a couple of guys in the UK. They are very excited about the idea. They've been speaking to people, and there is money available. So I can't say too much about that at the moment, but there are 2 guys that have really good contacts, and they also see the esports side of it as well as being a potential opening. Esports is a very big growing part of the world, basically. The French Open was due to be having its own esports tennis competition during it. There was one, Andy Murray competed in one and actually won it. Andy Murray, I think over the years, has spent quite a number of hours playing games on the computer, and he won the event. It was something like it was an event anyway in March and May, and it was given quite a lot of publicity here. There was 8 entrants. They played knockout, playing just computer tennis sort of style. So that is a big thing as well. And I think the 30-30 format, again, could work really well for gaming, rather than playing a great big long set. As per traditional rules, you could play a best of 5 sets using the 30-30. It'd be very quick. Every point counts, basically. Every second point's a game point and so on. So again, these 2 guys in the UK, I've been having fairly in-depth discussions with them. They think it's got a good potential, sort of. So yeah, I've been speaking to a number of people that are really quite excited about it.
Well, I can see it working out as far as junior events. If you and your little brother and your cousin travel to an event and you want to play more matches in the day, this is the way to do it. I know that holding events like that, you're like, well, is it a round robin? Is it a back draw? How many times can you play? In my hometown, we have the annual tournament that was there, and it's a 2-week, sometimes 3, depending upon how many people are there. And you may have to play Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you may not have the time to do that. But with this, you can play more events, more categories, and you can play more in that day. Because if you can play a shorter match at 6 o'clock, you can come back and play another match at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finish the whole bracket in a day instead of in a week.
Yeah, no, it's a big commitment to play a tournament. I used to do that when I was younger. I would go and spend a whole week somewhere, and you would play 2 or 3 days, or it would be one match a day, and so on. It was a big commitment. You had accommodation, you had travel, you had food, and so on.
Right.
People don't appear to be as willing to do that these days. You know, the parents will not run their kid 50
Right.
miles 4 or 5 days in the week to go and play a single match. So shorter events are definitely, I think, the future. And yeah, either over a day, half a day, or a weekend, you could play out an event. And I still think it provides a fair test of skill, the 30-30 tennis. It's the better player over 3 sets will still win. There won't be the element of luck that there is in sort of one match tiebreak to 10 points. Over 3 sets, it will still give you a good test. So yes, shorter format events. It's for everything. You know, juniors, the seniors have also mentioned it. I actually had a woman just on the call last night. She'd used it for the first time with some of her senior friends, and they'd thoroughly enjoyed it because they played more sets than they would usually have. She said we would probably only played 1 or 2 traditional sets. We played 4 or 5 using this format. There was a bigger mix. We got to play different opponents and that. They found it really good fun, and they were seniors, just amateur players, nothing serious. But I think it can work for anyone really. It's when I play personally now, I wouldn't play anything else. You know, it's just it moves along so much more quickly. The game score ticks over so much more quickly. It's more dynamic. It's faster paced. It's a step change from traditional tennis. It's a step change from Fast Four. Fast Four is basically just a set of tennis cut short. I know they don't play the ads, which maybe moves it on a bit quicker, but it's not every game that goes to deuce in traditional tennis scoring. It really is just a set of tennis cut short. 30-30 is entirely different. It's a faster paced. It is a step change, and I think people all like that, and it's the way the world has gone. People are not willing to sit for hours and hours. Even the diehard fans will not sit for hours and hours. I struggle to watch a whole best of 5 sets match. You get bored, you start drifting away and so on. But if you sat down and watched a full 30-30 match in an hour or an hour and a half, it's ideal basically. For television, I think it'd be ideal as well.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you being on again. We'll touch base again at another time, and hopefully we'll have more people out and about and moving around and getting involved themselves. But we'll continue to spread the word, and we will see what we can do from there.
Yeah. Can I just add one thing? Obviously, this last 2 or 3 months has given me time to do a bit more thinking as well, and I've created an analogy between sports. A lot of sports, within their own sport, they have various disciplines. So the sport I've taken as an analogy is the sport of athletics. You guys in the States will obviously know athletics pretty well. If you take the track events, for example, you have firstly long distance events that are, for example, the 10,000 meters and the 5,000 meters. You have middle distance events that are the 800 meters and the 1,500 meters. You know, they'll take between a minute and a half to 4 minutes. You also have sprint events, the 100 meters and the 200 meters. So you're speaking about an event that only lasts 10 or 20 seconds. They are all individual disciplines within the sport of track events, of athletics, and they all produce their own global superstars. You know, I tend to go for Usain Bolt. He's the sprint champion. We have David Rudisha, the sprint, the middle distance runner, global champion. And in the UK, we have Mo Farah, who has won multiple Olympic medals, a global superstar in long distance events. And I was beginning to think, tennis could potentially be the same. If you go for the Grand Slam best of 5 sets matches, that's your long distance events. And there's only certain players in the world at the moment that could potentially win these. You know, we've seen over the last 20 or 15 years or so, there's only been about 3 or 4 different winners of Grand Slams. You then go down a bit to the middle distance, which would be the ATP and the WTA best of 3 sets match, a best of 3 sets, tiebreak sets, or what we're now seeing, as I said before, 2 tie-break sets and a match tie-break. These matches are a bit less. They're maybe an hour, 2.5 hours. They're your middle distance. What we don't have at the moment, professionally or competitively, is sprint events. And I think the 30-30 tennis could provide the sprint events. You could play a best of 3 sets over an hour or a best of 5 sets over an hour and a half, and you would have a sprint event. And I think these 3 disciplines in tennis could potentially all have their own discipline. You will have a Grand Slam overall global guy. There'll be a middle distance overall global person. And you will have person who maybe succeeds in the sprint events. The person might be a younger person that maybe hasn't built up the stamina, the experience, the fitness to win a Grand Slam, but he may be a tremendously talented player and would excel in the sprint events. So I quite like that analogy that you could have 3 disciplines within the sport. It would create more global superstars. I think the more global superstars a sport produces, the better it is for that sport. And it's been fantastic what the top 3 or 4 have done for tennis, but we're badly in need of some more new young superstars that can grab the attention of the youngsters today, basically. So it was just a thought I had. I'm in the middle of writing an article to sort of try and put that into words and so on, to say, look at athletics, look at tennis, look at cricket. Cricket is the same. They have their test matches, which are 5 days. They have their one-day internationals, which are 50 overs, and they have their T20 and their T10, which are 2 to 3 hours. They have long distance, middle distance, short distance sprints. Let's see tennis get sprints on the map as well.
Well, one thing that we have in most sports and most governing bodies are tiers. You know, like for example, in Major League Baseball, we also have minor league, AAA, AA, single A, rookie league, that kind of thing. In most of the other football leagues other than the United States, you have Premier League, League One, so on and so forth. So even if it's something where you say our big major people are in the 5-setters, we have other tiers where we can follow, and they're identifiable and people watch.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know, you have a soccer team that's located in Nottingham. It's just because they're not in the Premier League, people still go see them play.
Yeah, because fans all have their own likes and dislikes.
Right.
You know, I'm quite a big fan of watching the 10,000 meters, watching the match, the race unravel. But you'll get some people that will say, "Oh, I could never sit for half an hour and watch a race." I prefer watching the sprints. It's really exciting. The build up. It's 10 seconds, 20 seconds of really intense action. So yeah, people are different. They like different things. So it could potentially be the same with tennis. You will get fans that will always like Wimbledon. They want to sit down and watch long matches, see them develop. But you will also, on the flip side, have people that will be saying, "Oh, great, I'm going to sit down and watch this match. It's going to be over in an hour." That's ideal. That's what I prefer, basically. So yeah, there are options there, I think, Frank.
You've got to come out of the box firing, and you've got to maintain for a short amount of time, and it's more intense. If you don't play right away, you're done, right?
Yeah, it's a different type of type of athlete. You would never see Mo Farah competing in the 100 meters.
Right.
You would never see Usain Bolt competing in the 10,000 meters. So it could potentially be the same in tennis. It's a different type of event. It's a different athlete that's required to be good in sprint events as opposed to be in long distance events. So I think I've always felt there's a lot of really talented tennis players out there. And because they don't ever win any Grand Slams or that, they don't get the recognition, they don't make the money that they could potentially make. And this maybe opens the door for someone like that who can excel in the shorter format events, and they deserve a chance.
And one thing I know that we see in the Grand Slams, which are 5 sets, and most of the tours are not 5 sets, you know, you have guys that aren't prepared, and not their fault, but they're not physically capable or prepared or trained for 5 sets. Correct, and just popped into my head like a David Nalbandian, who was a solid player, but he wasn't a solid 5-set player. And we got to the 4th set, 5th set, you know, he just wasn't able to maintain, or it was sometimes bad luck as well. But those are the kind of players that you go, okay, all right, we have a tier for you where you can excel, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, the players, you've got to win 7 matches in a fortnight over best of 5 sets. That takes one heck of it.
Right.
Ability physically, mentally, and so on. And it does restrict, I think, the number of people. These guys deserve that. They train the hardest, the ones that do win. But there are a lot of other guys that are out there probably training just as hard, but their body maybe just doesn't. They're killing their bodies. These guys
Right.
that are training as hard as they are, their bodies become shot when they're pretty young. We've seen Andy Murray with his hip and so on.
Right.
The training is so brutal. Yeah, it gives other people another chance.
I like that. That's something
Good
else
man, yeah.
you can throw in the promotion. Cool. All right. Well, again, thank you, Mark. I
Brilliant, Frank.
appreciate it. Once again, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, we've obviously got the website. It's www.3030tennis.com. 30 is written in letters and then 30. If you Google 3030 tennis, you'll find the website. There's an ongoing blog there. There are ongoing testimonials and so on. So anything there, the rules and how things are going will be found there. So yeah, I'd appreciate anyone who's wanting to try it. It's something different. It's a step change.
Okay, well, thanks again. We'll make sure we get your ambassadors a little heads up there as well, and we will roll from there. All right, enjoy your day.
Thanks again, Frank. Same to you. Cheers.